Imagine spending your entire life working, saving, and planning for a peaceful retirement, only to wake up one morning and realize the rules have quietly changed, and no one told you. For millions of seniors, that fear is becoming very real right now. New RMD rules have just come into effect, and they're not small adjustments. These are changes that could directly impact how much money you're required to withdraw, how much tax you'll owe, and how long your savings will truly last. For seniors living on fixed incomes, every dollar matters, and one wrong move could mean losing more than you ever expected. And just as this uncertainty begins to settle in, another wave of concern is rising. A confirmed green card shakeup set for May 7th is creating anxiety among immigrant families, many of whom are seniors themselves or supporting elderly loved ones. Questions about stability, compliance, and financial security are suddenly front and center. This isn't just policy, it's peace of mind, it's dignity, it's the future you worked so hard to protect. Stay with us, because we're about to break this down in the simplest way possible so you can stay informed and prepared. And if this matters to you or someone you love, make sure to like this video right now, because awareness today could prevent regret tomorrow. Right now, there's a quiet shift happening that most people won't notice until it directly touches their lives. And by then, it may already feel overwhelming. For seniors, especially those who've spent decades building a sense of financial stability, these kinds of changes don't just bring confusion, they bring stress, uncertainty, and a deep sense of vulnerability. Because when you've reached a stage in life where predictability matters most, even a small rule change can feel like the ground is moving beneath your feet. Let's talk about what's really going on. The new RMD rules, required minimum distributions, are not just technical updates buried in paperwork. They shape how and when retirees must withdraw money from their retirement accounts. And for many seniors, these withdrawals aren't optional decisions. They're mandatory actions tied directly to tax consequences. That means even if you don't need the money right now, you may still be required to take it out, and that can trigger taxes that reduce your overall savings faster than expected. Now imagine being in your 70s or 80s, carefully budgeting your expenses, making sure your savings stretch as long as possible, and suddenly realizing that you're required to withdraw more than you planned. That extra withdrawal might push you into a higher tax bracket. It might increase your taxable income in ways you didn't anticipate. And for someone living on a fixed income, that's not just a financial inconvenience. It's a real emotional burden. Many seniors rely on routine. They rely on knowing what to expect month after month, year after year. So when rules shift without clear communication, it creates a gap between what people think is happening and what's actually required. That gap is where mistakes happen. And unfortunately, with RMDs, mistakes don't come cheap. Missing a required withdrawal or miscalculating the amount can lead to penalties that feel almost punishing, especially for someone who simply didn't have access to the right information. And that's what makes this moment so important. Because while these rules are being updated and discussed in financial circles, the average retiree may not even be aware that anything has changed. They might continue following old guidelines, assuming everything is still the same, only to find out later that they've fallen out of compliance. That kind of realization doesn't just affect your finances, it shakes your confidence. It makes you question whether you're truly in control of your own retirement. At the same time, there's another layer of concern building, especially for immigrant families and seniors who hold green cards. A confirmed update tied to May 7th is starting to raise serious questions about how immigration status intersects with financial obligations. For many, this isn't just about paperwork, it's about stability, about belonging, about the life they've built over many years. Think about a senior who moved to a new country decades ago, worked hard, followed the rules, paid taxes, and built a retirement plan based on the system they trusted. Now, with new changes being introduced, there's a sense of uncertainty creeping in. Questions begin to surface. Will these changes affect my residency? Do I need to report something differently? Could this impact my benefits or my ability to stay compliant? These are not small concerns. They touch on identity, security, and peace of mind. And when combined with financial changes like new RMD rules, it can feel like too much happening all at once. It's not just about understanding one system, it's about navigating multiple layers of rules that may not always be clearly connected. What makes this even more challenging is how information spreads. Some people hear bits and pieces from friends or social media. Others might come across headlines that sound urgent but lack clarity. And in that environment, it becomes difficult to separate what's real, what's exaggerated, and what actually requires action. For seniors, especially those who may not be constantly online or connected to financial advisors, this creates a real risk of either overreacting or not reacting at all, and both can be harmful. Overreacting might lead someone to make rushed financial decisions, taking out more money than necessary, changing their plans without fully understanding the consequences. On the other hand, not reacting at all could mean missing important deadlines or requirements, leading to penalties or complications that could have been avoided. That's why clarity matters so much right now. Not fear, not speculation, clarity. Because when you understand what's happening, you can make decisions from a place of confidence instead of anxiety. You can take control of your situation instead of feeling like it's controlling you. For seniors, that sense of control is everything. It's the difference between feeling secure in your retirement and constantly worrying about what might go wrong. It's about knowing that the years you spent working and saving are still protected, even as rules evolve around you. And let's be honest, retirement should not feel like a puzzle that keeps changing. It should be a time of stability, of enjoying the life you've built, of focusing on what matters most to you. But when financial rules shift without clear guidance, it can turn that stability into uncertainty. This is why conversations like this are so important, because they bring these changes into the open. They make them understandable. They give you the chance to prepare instead of react. And preparation is what turns a potentially stressful situation into a manageable one. Now, if you're someone who's already feeling overwhelmed by all of this, you're not alone. Many people are in the same position right now, trying to piece together what these changes mean and what steps they should take. And it's okay to feel that way. What matters is what you do next. Start by recognizing that these rules, while complex, are not impossible to understand. They may require a bit of attention, a bit of learning, but they are not beyond your control. And once you begin to understand them, you'll start to see where you stand and what actions, if any, you need to take. For example, with RMDs, knowing your age, your account type, and the current rules can help you determine whether you need to withdraw funds this year and how much. It's not about guessing, it's about having the right information, and once you have that, you can plan accordingly. Similarly, for green card holders, staying informed about official updates and understanding how they apply to your specific situation is key. Not every change will affect every person in the same way, but without that clarity, it's easy to assume the worst or miss something important. What we're seeing right now is a moment where awareness can make a huge difference. A moment where taking the time to understand what's changing can protect not just your finances, but your peace of mind. Because at the end of the day, that's what this is really about. It's about being able to move forward without constant worry. It's about knowing that even as systems evolve, you have the knowledge and the ability to adapt. And most importantly, it's about making sure that the life you've worked so hard to build remains secure. As these changes continue to unfold, the key is to stay engaged, not overwhelmed, not fearful, just aware. Because awareness is what gives you the power to respond in a way that protects your interests and supports your long-term goals. And right now, that awareness is more important than ever. It's important to slow down just enough to see how these changes actually play out in real life. Because on paper, rules always look clean and structured, but in reality, they affect people in deeply personal ways. Take a retiree who has carefully planned withdrawals for years, maybe even decades. They've mapped out how much to take each year, how to minimize taxes, how to stretch their savings across an uncertain lifespan. Then suddenly, new RMD thresholds or calculation updates come in, and that entire plan needs adjusting. Not because they made a mistake, but because the system itself moved. That can feel frustrating, even unfair. And yet, It's something many seniors are quietly dealing with right now. Some are calling their financial advisors, trying to get clarity. Others are going through documents on their own, hoping they're interpreting everything correctly. And some, unfortunately, are doing nothing at all, not because they don't care, but because the information feels overwhelming and they don't know where to begin. There's also a psychological side to this that doesn't get talked about enough. When you've spent your life being responsible with money, following the rules, doing what you're supposed to do, a sudden change can feel like a loss of control. It introduces doubt. You start to wonder if you've missed something before or if there are other changes coming that you're not prepared for.